Hi, I'm Dave. Welcome to Dave Takes It On. I've had so many comments asking me to look into the insurance, what do we call it, myths that people are seeing, where they're being quoted £4,000, £5,000, £6,000 a year for insurance. People talking about selling their EVs because they can't afford to keep them on the road. So in view of all the comments I've received, this is an insurance special. Now I have to point out, doesn't really matter what I say. The EV haters are just going to reject this. So this is for the grown-ups in the room. This is for the people who really want to start doing research for themselves, but getting a guide as to what they might expect to find. Now, I have to point out, I can only here give my data. Anything else is pure speculation or opinion. So I'm going to give my data. My data is not the same as yours. I guarantee it. The data very much affects the premiums that you get. Now, in my case, I will give my data. I am past retirement age, and therefore my premium will be a lot more than someone in his 30s or 40s. Secondly, I use my car for business purposes, so I declare it as business mileage. That also increases the premium. It is more expensive if you want to insure your car for business use than it is for social, domestic and pleasure use. And then finally, there's the mileage. I do a high mileage. When I started, got my first EV, I was actually doing about 30,000 miles a year at the time. That is very high mileage, and that does make your insurance have an incredible premium. It is so much more expensive to do that sort of mileage. Since getting a car, well, we went through COVID, where I was in lockdown, couldn't use it, reached retirement age, and then decided to cut back on my mileage. So I still do a high mileage today. My average mileage is about 15,000 miles. So those three factors, my age, my business use and my mileage, will mean that my figures are probably significantly more than the average person. Now, looking back, my previous car that I used when I was doing the high mileage just before I got my Tesla Model S was a Citroën C4 Grand Picasso 1.6 litre diesel car. This is not a high-performance sports car or a luxury car by any means. It's a big family car, big SUV. It's a 7-seater. The 7-seaters were important for me with grandchildren, so that was a consideration. But this is a pretty much run-of-the-mill car. My previous insurance for this, and that was 4 years ago now, I paid £960. I was paying about £80 a month for my insurance. Now, whether you're horrified by that or pleased by that, it doesn't really matter. This is what I was paying, and for my business use and my personal circumstances, I considered this to be okay. I did hear about people paying £200, £300, £400, but they don't do the mileage or the business use that I do. Anyway, when I switched to my Model S, I notified the insurance company, which is Direct Line, and the first thing I noticed, there was no change in premium during that first year. The policy had just insured, so there was just renewed, so there was a long way for it to run. If there was going to be a difference in premium, they would notify it. But I got a notification that would be no change at all in the first year, and that surprised me. You see, I've bought a Tesla Model S. The Model S is a high-performance saloon car. It's pretty much top of the range, well up there at the top of the Mercedes and BMWs and Audis. It's a very different car to a Citroën C4 Picasso. And I was really surprised that my premium didn't go up. Now, the second year, it did go up. It went up about 5%. And I thought nothing of that because, well, everything goes up when in a period of high inflation. So I expected it to go up. So a 5% rise didn't do anything. This year, when it renewed, I had noticed that that rise this year was 20%. And that made me think, which is one of the reasons I'm making this video, is it getting out of hand? Is this just EVs or is this everything? So what I've done, I've gone back onto Direct Line website, and you find there's an online quotation there. You can enter all your details and store them, and then you can just change whatever car you want to quote for. where it says registration number, there's a box underneath which says, I don't yet own that car, and you can enter any car at all. So, out of interest, I thought, well, the first one I'll enter, BMW 5 Series. Now, my Model S is not equivalent to a BMW 5 Series. Mine is way above that. It's not a snob thing, it's a different car. The BMW 5 Series is much closer to the Model 3 or the Model Y, which are smaller versions of my car. It's in the Mercedes class, much closer to an S class than an E or a C. So these are the details I put in first of all. So when I put in the BMW 5 Series, just picked a random model towards the top of the range, I found virtually the same as what I'm paying. Oh, it varies £100 here or there, but pretty much is exactly the same. Then entered the Mercedes S-Class. Same thing again, almost identical. And so that gave me the opinion that maybe whatever I drove, if it's a reasonable car, BMW are, Mercedes are, Teslas are, then I'm going to be paying for my use, my mileage, my business use, about £1,200 a year, about £100 a month. And then out of interest, I thought, no, what I need to do now, let's imagine that I'm going to go get rid of my Tesla Model S and go back to an ICE car. Ha! Fat chance of that. Anyway, let's go back to what I had before. Citroën still make the Grand Picasso C4, still make a 7-seater. And so I thought, let's have a look at that. Now, price difference is a bit extreme. Those are on sale for about in the mid-20,000s, so not comparable to my car at all. But when I put all of those details in, brand new Citroën C4 Grand Picasso 7-seater, the insurance premium quote was just on £1,000. That's not an awful lot less than I'm paying for my Tesla Model S. So I think the first thing I take from this is all insurance premiums have gone up, whatever you drive, whether it's petrol, diesel, hybrid or EV, they're all dear. And if you're getting dear quotes, it is probably because of your circumstances, like me. Once you get above a certain age, your premiums go up. If you declare it for business use, your premiums go up. And if you do high mileage, your premiums go up. So that's what I have to pay. Now, I was at that point going to just sit in front of the computer and just enter random details. But thinking back to what I said at the beginning, it doesn't matter what I show people, they're not going to believe it. If they are convinced that it's going to cost you £4,000 or £5,000 to get an EV, to insure an EV, and they can't afford it, you're going to have to sell it. That's what they believe, so I'm not going to convince those. But I saw that one of the YouTube channels that I watch regularly, this is Richard Simmons. Now, he's an EV dealer. He's down on the south coast, near Bournemouth, Hampshire anyhow. He's got a number of employees. He buys and sells EVs. He's probably got more EVs in stock today than I've ever driven different EVs in my life. So he's a man who knows a lot about EVs. As a business also, he runs his own solar panels and battery storage. So he's really into the renewable energy. But also as part of his job, he or his staff will often take a car from their showroom, which they sell online, and they will drive it to Wales or Scotland or Yorkshire, and they'll deliver it to the customer. And if there's a part exchange, they'll pick that part exchange up and take it back to their showroom. So these people, these drivers, are the ones that spend an awful lot of time driving EVs around the country for a business. So, going back to Richard Simmons, what he did was he tasked 5 of his employees. Well, I can't do this. I don't have any employees. But he asked 5 of his employees, various ages, various, let's say, driving records, speeding fines and everything else. And he gave them a list of cars comparable to a Model 3. So, like the BMW 5 Series or an Audi or whatever it happened to be. And he asked each of those to go and get a few quotes and find the cheapest quote they could find of comparing an EV against a directly comparable ICE car. They all came back with their findings, and they all found pretty much very similar to what I've found. Now, when he goes into a lot more detail, so I would highly recommend you watch this particular episode. I'll try and leave a link down below. But the simple result is that whether you drive a nice car, be it petrol, diesel or hybrid, or whether you drive an EV, there is not a fantastic difference in the premiums that you will pay for your particular circumstances. Now, don't get me wrong, there will be people out there who get quotes of £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 to insure their EV, a simple Tesla Model 3. I got those quotes as well when I first got my Model S. I did go to several other companies to get comparable quotes, and while at the time going with Direct Line would cost me under £1,000, some of the quotes I got back were almost £4,000. So there's a real important lesson here for everyone. Don't take the first price you're quoted, shop around. Go and see what others are offering. Had I accepted the £4,000 quote, I'd have been fuming that I was paying so much to insure my car. As it was, I ended up paying exactly the same as my Citroën C4 Picasso diesel. Now, looking at insurance in general, it is very much dearer at the moment. But I have to say, the first conclusion I've come to is that applies to all cars, ICE and EVs. Whether you get a budget EV like a Mini or a Dacia Spring, or whether you go for a top-of-the-range Tesla Plaid, Model S Plaid, you find that insurance premiums are up across the board. Petrol, diesel, hybrid, EVs, the lot. Now, the second thing I did find was that the cars that we drive these days are very different. I'm not talking about now performance, that goes without saying. I'm talking about something as simple as headlights. If you look on the, let's say, Mercedes EV website and you do a build and price for a model, whatever model it is, one of the options they give you, BMW do this as well, is for a headlight upgrade. Now, the existing headlights on the basic model are pretty good. They're all LED lights, they're fantastically powerful daylight. They're amazing lights on a car these days. But if you click the option for the upgrade, you will be quoted £2,500 to £3,000 to upgrade those lights, already brilliant, to the very latest LED chasers, patterns. Oh, I don't know what they do. Mine doesn't do it. But whereas in the past, you could go down to, I don't know, Halfords or car accessory shop if you damage your old headlight, and for 50 quid, you could buy one yourself. You could go and fit it in a few minutes. It's just a couple of screws and an electrical plug. And it was really quick and easy. So probably about 50 quid. If you're now in a Tesco car park and someone clips the corner of your car and cracks or even just scratches your headlight, that's an insurance claim that's going to be many, many thousands of pounds. Our claims have increased. They've changed. Look at your bumpers. When I started driving, we had metal bumpers, chrome plated, and if you got a bump in it, you could actually just hammer it out sometimes. But if not, it was probably 50 or 100 quid. You unbolt the old one, just bolt the new one back on. We don't have cars like that anymore. Very few cars have bumpers anymore. They have this moulded in front panel, which is all part of the aerodynamic design. It's all carefully colour coordinated to the car. And so if you now damage your bumper, or if you're not even in the car and someone bumps into you and cracks or scratches your bumper, or what used to be a bumper, it's now a multi-thousand-pound quote to replace it. They first of all not have to replace the whole of the front of the car, that's bad enough, but they don't come pre-painted because of the huge variety of paint shades that are out there. So they will then have to spray the whole of the front of the car with your colour. So what used to be a £50 swap for a headlight or a £100 swap for a bumper, these are now multi-thousand-pound quotes. So what I would say, we now have more claims and they are much higher value. Well, I hope you find this interesting. Thanks very much for watching. I'm Dave. If you have enjoyed this video, please subscribe, makes such a difference to the channel for the algorithm with YouTube. It allows us to notify you if you click the bell icon, the notification icon, for us to notify you when we launch the next video. Also, if you would, please have a look at the Patreon page and possibly becoming a member. Now, this is purely for financial support. I am funding this channel from my pension and my savings. So this is not easily affordable. However, Patreon members do contribute just a small amount, a few pounds each month, and that goes directly towards the running cost of the channel. And thank you very much to all of those who have already become Patreon members. Your contributions are absolutely amazing. Thank you. But these contributions do allow us to go out and film things that we otherwise couldn't afford to do, or to go much further afield and do some filming where, again, we would not be able to afford to do it. So have a look at it. If it's not for you, that's fine. Thank you for watching. But any contributions you can make are most welcome.